Something I get asked like all of the time, what camera should I buy? What's up guys, I'm Clover, and yeah, I really wanted to talk about something that gets asked a lot. I've got my own video production company, so people see me in that world. They send me messages asking heaps of questions, but mostly what camera they should buy when they're like starting out. What's the first camera that they should buy? So I thought we'd put this video together just to explain some of the thought processes and some of the things that you might need to consider when buying your first camera. Chapter 1. What is it actually for? What are you using it for? That's like probably the biggest question. Is it for a hobby? Is that what you're using it for? Is it just like when you're out and about, you're interested in it and you want to learn it? Or do you have a business? Are you using it for your marketing? Is it sort of an in-house thing that you're using it for? Are you using it for client work? So are you going to get paid, or is someone going to expect like that next level of quality? So like, is it for clients? Is it for your business, or is it just a hobby? Chapter 1 part B. I'm not even sure why that little section there is a B, but it is. So what is it for, but in a different way? So is it for photo, is it for video, or is it for both? So I'm gonna try and keep this like super basic. There's so many variants. Like, man, you could have cinema cameras, or you could use your phone. So there's like all these things in between, and maybe I'll probably do a video on that as well to show you the different types of cameras that you can use. Chapter 2 would be, so we're gonna kick it off with sensor size. So these are things that you might want to consider. You can have full frame, you can have micro four thirds, and there is an in between, but I'll just stick to those two. Micro four thirds are a little bit cheaper usually. It's also worth mentioning that with micro four third sensors that you get like a 2x crop, which basically means it punches in. That can sometimes be a little frustrating. You buy a lens for a micro four thirds camera that is say 25mm. When you use that lens, it will actually be the equivalent of a 50mm on a full frame camera. Whatever that is, just times it by 2, and that'll sort of give you an idea of where it should be. So something to consider if you do get a micro four thirds camera. Chapter 3, that would be the DSLR or mirrorless. DSLR is you would usually sort of identify that with photography, probably a better camera for photography. Mirrorless cameras are usually seen as better for video. It's a crazy world once you get into it, but that's essentially the way that you would look at it. You tend to get a bit more of options of lenses and things like that if you go for a DSLR over the mirrorless camera. We in Wonder, we seem to have affinity for Panasonic Lumix cameras. So this is our like camera A, this is our baby, this is our, oh, it's so beautiful. So this is the S1H, Panasonic Lumix S1H. So this is actually full frame mirrorless camera. The price point on this is quite high. It can do up to 6K, but we also have, this is the G80. You can see the difference in size is incredible. But this has got the crop sensor as well. I'm also filming currently on the GH5 from the Lumix series. So yeah, we've sort of got like Goldilocks. So we've got like the baby, the mama, and the popper. But the mama's isn't necessarily better. It's horses for courses, bears for breakfasts. So there's also a few other things to consider, like the body. So this feels sturdy, it feels quite heavy though. Shooting with it for a long time is going to really wear us out. It also has a flip screen, which we freaking love. As you can see, I'm shooting. Can you flip that round for me, please, Lou? Yeah. So I am shooting. I've got a mic. This is the GH5. I love that flip screen. It's so important when vlogging, and the GH5 is pretty light compared to the S1H as well. So that's sort of like something to think about. Cool. I think I've done enough here. So you also got to think about the accessories that you want for it. Obviously photography, you're not gonna need sound. However, if you're shooting video, you're gonna want good sound. So can you attach a mic to it? Can you stick an SLR into it?
You're making things up now.
Do you need an external monitor? Maybe it doesn't have the flip screen, so you might need an external monitor so you can see yourself. Again, it goes right back to what are you using it for? Start from there, and then you can sort of figure all the rest out. So chapter 5. So this is I'm going to talk a little bit about lenses. Usually you buy the camera body. Sometimes it can come with a kit lens. That essentially means the lens that is given with the camera. This is the first ever kit lens that we ever got. Like I showed you the camera earlier. It was really cool. It's a zoom lens, which means that like you can zoom in essentially. Since then we've upgraded to heaps of lenses. This is another good example. This is a zoom again, but it doesn't actually zoom out. But this is a really cool lens too. It's also worth mentioning that this is a micro four thirds lens. So although it says 35 to 100, it's actually 70 to 200. So yeah, so it really gets you close to the subject. Closer to the subject, the higher the number. So then we move on to a prime lens. So prime lens means that you can't zoom any closer, so it's fixed essentially. This is full frame as well, so this is quite a beast. It's quite heavy, a little heavier than the other ones. This is also worth mentioning too. This is a Sigma, and our cameras are Panasonic. So although the mount is the same, it's not really made specifically for the camera that we're using it, and that happens heaps. If you can get a lens that is made specifically for the camera that you've got, usually there's a better compatibility, so like autofocus and things like that work. That's also worth considering. There's ND filters as well. An ND filter goes on there, makes me darker. They're really cool for video. Don't really need them for taking photos. Chapter 6, the budget. So do you have a budget in mind? Is the sort of the highest that you want to go to? Is there a minimum that you want to spend? You want to get the best for your buck, essentially. DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, they can really range. Like consider all these factors, and if you want the best of everything, then that's going to cost you quite a bit. It can go from a couple of £100 to a couple of £1,000 to tens of thousands of pounds. You totally don't need to spend tens of thousands of pounds. To be honest, if it's your first camera, you don't really need to spend thousands of pounds. I would say around £600-800 is a really good price point. You don't have to do that. There is great cameras for less, so in no way am I saying you need to spend that much if that is not your budget to get what you want. Absolutely not. But that is a really good middle starting point for someone who's taken their first step into that video photography world. There you go. So that's the rundown of what to think about when you're buying your first camera. Hopefully that helped, and hopefully I haven't made it way more confusing, because I know what it's like. It's confusing, and I get it, and I really wanted to put something together to help you through that process. Feel free to get in touch or drop me a line, put a comment below, and we can chat it through, break it down a little bit more in some other videos. Guess there's nothing left to say, but I'll see you in the next one. So for example, with our camera, the SH1, we have 6K capabilities. Why are you laughing?
S1H.
It's because it's a GH5. Why did they do that? Why did they do that?